What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Happy Tuesday night. We're back live. Missed last week, which was sad, but good because I needed some time. Some stuff had come up, but yeah, glad to be back this week and hanging out with you all. Things are crazy now. They're heating up big time for me as far as training and just everything that goes along with that. If you're following me on Strava, you've been seeing just a ton of like long runs. Like every day's a long run now. That's what it feels like. But yeah, what's up? We already got people here. Awesome. I'm going to roll the intro video, but while I do, throw in the comments where you're watching from and we'll shout you out. And then definitely put in any questions or comments that you have. This show, we go where you want it to go. So we can talk about anything, running related or not. But yeah, this is your show. So ask the questions and we'll talk about it. So let's roll the intro. I'll be back in a second. All right, we got Eduardo Sanchez in the house. Happy Tuesday from Chula Vista. Whoa. Isaac Rubenstein's here. Good evening, friends. No pelvic hip fracture, just some run-of-the-mill. All right, I don't know how to pronounce all of that, but see you next summer from the high country. Hi from Seattle, Washington. Sorry to hear that you're not feeling great right now, Isaac, but hope that clears up. Chris Williams is here from Longview, Texas. Christy Wiley's here from Spokane, Washington. Donovan Hornbeck, Lansing, Michigan. What's up? Oscar Vega, Costa Rica. All right, we've already got a couple outside the U.S. Let's go. Stephen Barber, good evening from the mountains of North Carolina. Nice. Dave Lee's here from Plymouth, Massachusetts. Aaron Townsend, Victoria, Texas. What's up? Maria Danowski from North Carolina. Danielle Castro from Phoenix, Arizona. Sam's here from Meredith, New Hampshire. Just finished my 7-mile run before work. Night shift for the win. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I actually just got back from a run as well. So hopefully I can stay awake for this whole thing. Normally I run midday or a little bit maybe earlier in the morning on the weekends, or sometimes later in the afternoon. But today changed things up a little bit. Wanted to see if it worked running in the evening, if it got any cooler, and the answer is no. It was still 91 degrees and my weather app said it felt like 100. And it was just it was crazy out there. But yeah, I was out there for almost, I don't know how long it was, but it was 11 miles. So yeah, it's also super hot here. So I have a feeling I'm going to start overheating during this live stream because I'm still probably not totally cooled down from my run. Because that was only an hour and a half ago that I got back. What's up? Sarah O's here from San Francisco. Justin Turnbow. Hey, everyone, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Taper starts today, 11 days out from Leadville 100. Oh, my gosh. That is so exciting, Justin. The Leadville 100 is just an absolutely amazing race. So, some things that, can always get better. I think there's a few things like the year that I paced, aid stations were a little bit lacking at certain points. But as far as the race itself, awesome race. Good people. Daz Darren's here from Spokane, Washington here too. Awesome. Soy Sauce 007 says, Yo 106 here today. Kept the workout indoors. Yeah. When it starts getting that hot, there's definitely some diminishing returns that you can have when it starts getting that hot. And a lot of people ask me on Strava or Instagram or whatever, they're like, why don't you run in the mornings? Or, why do you run at noon every day? And the answer is kind of that's just works the best for me and the family. Because typically kids are gone during that time and I have a break during work that I can run. And, it just so happens to be the hottest time of the day. And unfortunately, that's the case in the summers. But it's also good because someone commented on my run today. I think they said that heat and humidity is the poor man's altitude training. So, yeah, but I have noticed that every time that I really put in a lot of work during the summer, as soon as the fall weather hits, I can just there's a noticeable few weeks when the weather changes where you're just you're way better off than you would have been. It's almost like you're training at altitude and then you come back down to sea level. That's it's the same exact type of thing. And so I'm really excited to see what happens there, when the season actually changes. Is it going to be beginning of September, middle of September? When's that going to hit? And then how's that going to relate to my race on October 9th, Indiana Trail 100? Because, if we hit fall here in 2 weeks or something, I can probably put in some really long efforts and some really good training in those first couple of weeks and really take advantage of what the heat training has done. If it hits later, maybe that'll help with taper recovery sort of thing. So it's just going to be interesting to see when the season changes and when that hits and how that's going to relate to my race. But we're coming down less than 9 weeks. We're basically 8.5 weeks now. So I'm really on course to, as long as I can stay relatively injury free. I've got a few things going on here and there. I've got some plantar fasciitis that's been bugging me ever since the week after Cruel Jewel, basically. Didn't have any plantar fasciitis pain for maybe the last 2 years. Trained on the treadmill every single day, 17,000 feet of vert a week. Is that what I did? Yeah, 17,000 feet of vert per week. I climbed almost 3,000 feet in the 4 months leading up to the Cruel Jewel, and never a hint of the plantar fasciitis. And then I go do the race, totally fine. And then I take my 2 weeks off after the race, and it was the first run back. It was a little dinky little 3-miler where I just kind of jogged around the block basically, and it came back. I was you gotta be kidding me. And it went real fast. Within 3 weeks or so, maybe it went to 100% of the pain level that I had years ago. So it kind of I think sometimes injuries like that, I don't know, do they have a memory? But it just instantly just went right back to where it was a couple years ago. But the good thing is that I have experience with it. And so I know that with my plantar fasciitis, it's just, I just got to deal with it in the mornings and throughout the day when it hurts. One thing, a friend recommended these Hoka sandals. actually. They are the Aura, I think OAR, I think is what they're called. But they've got just like really amazing arch support and just super, super comfy. So like these have been like really, really helping out a lot. Like just putting them on like first thing in the morning and then walking around the house in them. They're labeled like recovery sandals, like on their website. And they've been really, really helping my plantar fasciitis, like just keep it at bay. Because when I'm running, it really doesn't hurt that much. And that's kind of typical with this type of injury. It like doesn't really bother me when I'm running. It's just the downtimes that it really hurts a lot. So I don't know how I got on that tangent. But oh yeah, I was talking about like training and how that's been going and everything. But yeah, I'm on a really good, like I'll actually pull up Training Peaks. Let's see if I can throw that up there. And here's my performance management chart. I love looking at this. Like, I don't know if other people like take a look at theirs or not. But this is kind of like where I was last year. Let me see if I can pull that. Nope. All right. I can't get rid of that little circle of me right now easily. But this is like kind of in the last couple of weeks of just kind of like grinding it out through the summer heat and just doing really well, like on track to pretty quickly surpass where I was fitness wise, according to this chart, going into Cruel Jewel. And the reason why is because I've been putting in a whole lot more miles at pace. The way Training Peaks works is it can be confusing for some people if you're not if you don't know exactly how everything works with Training Peaks. They give you like a score for every run or workout, bike ride, swim that you do, and it's based off of your thresholds. And so it's not a perfect system for every single sport. It works very well for triathlon and any type of sport, like an endurance sport, where your the level of effort is based off of your pace, basically. But it doesn't work as well it's not a perfect system for trail and ultra runners, because a lot of times we're doing vert training. We are, climbing on a treadmill for 4 hours at 14 minutes a mile. And so that will produce a pretty low score on Training Peaks. And so it's not like exactly right. My training for Cruel Jewel was a lot heavier than it looks on this chart. But since I've been training for a flat 100, relatively flat trail 100, I've been doing a lot more runs at pace, and just like a little bit higher effort according to that. So it's been great though. Like, it's been so fun I feel like I'm free to run outside. Yeah, it's been awesome. All right, let's check up on a couple questions. I see Sam says, I wear my Hoka slides every single day. Swear by them. Yes. Awesome. Let's see here. I have a question from Aaron Townsend. So if you had to choose between Insta360 or GoPro Hero 9, what would you choose? That's a really good question. And a lot of it, so there's not a perfect answer to that. Like, it would be totally based off of the activity I was doing and what the needs of that activity were. And so if it was a situation where I could carry a little bit more weight and I wanted the picture quality to be better, it would be the GoPro Hero 9 all day. But if it was a situation where I needed to be really, really careful about weight and the picture quality, like I could flex on that a little bit, the Insta360 Go 2 would be great. But also, it would have to be a situation where I didn't need a whole lot of battery life, because there's no battery that you can like for a GoPro. I take 4 or 5 batteries like when I travel, because I can just have them and pop them in and out and then charge them at night or whatever. With the Insta360 Go 2, you can't do that because it's an internal battery. So it's highly dependent on the situation that you're in. I think in races, I'll still take my GoPro just because the picture quality is a lot better and the battery situation. Like I can have batteries in drop bags and I don't have to worry about anything. I can just like throw them in. Justin says, question on taper. How do you know with reduced mileage to not push harder with the miles you have? Okay. So that you can actually, that's an interesting thing about a taper is that there is an opportunity there for higher intensity when you drop your volume. And that's kind of what a lot of coaches would coach you that way. A lot of coaches would say, build up your volume, press like throughout the season. And then when you taper, you start dramatically dropping the volume, but you slightly raise the intensity so that you can get still high quality work. You can get a lot of adaptation. You can get a lot of like speed work in, kind of like if you're safe about it, you can get speed work in the last couple of weeks before your races. So you're shortening the time that you're working out and you're increasing the time that you're recovering. And with that, even with increasing intensity during those shorter sessions, you can get a lot of adaptation and a lot of extra recovery. So it's kind of like a delicate kind of dance that you have to do during your taper. And a lot of times, I mean, for the vast majority of people, it's just, there is no strategy. You're just running less and that's fine. At the end of the day, if you are recovering well and you're showing up to your start line rested, you're not overcooked, you're fine. If you want to do it very strategically, and maybe you are competing for like top 5 or something in a race, something like that, I would definitely get a coach because there's a lot of strategy in a taper, and being really precise about it can really make a big difference. But for the most part, yeah, you can reduce the miles and push a little harder as long as you're recovering well, because that's the most important thing of a taper is recovering into your race and showing up to the start line ready to go. If you're tired on the start line, you did it wrong. Chris Williams says, just signed up for my first marathon in April 2022 after losing 55 pounds. Nice. Any advice on changing from weight loss training to training for a marathon? Interesting question. You're probably like doing a lot of the right things already, training for a marathon. A lot of, the first thing that comes to mind is kind of just continuing to focus on kind of those slower base miles, and then throw in some workouts that are at a higher, a quicker pace. So like if you're running 5 times a week, maybe one of your runs is a tempo run where you're throwing in some intervals. Do that for a couple weeks. If you're feeling good about that, maybe you can add in some higher intensity stuff on one day. Keep that those tempo intervals on your day that you've been doing that, but that's probably what I would suggest doing is, if you're training for weight loss, a lot of your runs are going to be like zone 1, zone 2, even walking. Honestly, walking is a very, very effective way to go about that too. But yeah, probably throw in 1 day of tempo intervals. Do that for a couple weeks. See how you're adapting to it, and then go from there. Sarah says those Hoka sandals are amazing for PF. They have helped me so much. Great to hear they're working for you as well. Yeah, and it's really like awesome how they work. I mean, when I put them on in the mornings, I still have pretty intense pain for a couple minutes, but then all of a sudden I can like walk normal. It's like awesome. Aaron Wagner says, have you run the Chain of Lakes course before? Is this going to be your flattest 100? Is my first, picked because of its trail and pretty flat. Yeah. Awesome. He says, looking forward to it. Cool. If that's going to be your first 100, that's amazing, man. And I'll be there right with you. I have run the course. Not the new course. I might run the new course this weekend. There's a training run there on Saturday, and I'm thinking about going up there. But we'll have to see like how I feel. Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, it's flat. Like there's some hills. I mean, there's a couple short climbs. But they're like nothing really. But it's a great runnable course, really runnable. And it's a very, very well run race. I'll say that. I volunteered at it 3 times. And it's awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a big party this year because they had to cancel it last year. So, I mean, this year is going to be just a huge party. Hopefully, as long as we can get this stuff under control by then. It seems like it's getting worse again. But I'll see you there, Aaron. Daz Darren 99 says, Ryan, when does someone know when they are ready to commit to doing an ultra? I don't think you ever know. I think that if you're, I think that it's going to be a jump for anybody. And I mean, if you've done a couple marathons, jumping up to a 50K is not that big of a deal. It's like maybe an extra hour, an hour and a half tacked onto your run. I mean, an extra 6 miles or whatever it is. But if you're jumping from a marathon to a 50 miler, which is more fun probably because it's scarier, then, I mean, no, you're never going to know. You're never going to know if you're ready. Because there's no way to know until you do it. And, I mean, if you want to, sign up for one. And that's really all it should take. You don't have to be a great runner to run a 50 miler or a 50K. You just have to be able to persevere, especially for your first one. And, put in the training. If you sign up for a 50 miler and you're running anywhere close to 50 miles a week for the couple months leading up to it, you're going to do great. If you can get around 30 miles a week, you're going to be able to finish it. If you can get, even if you can only get like 3 or 4 runs a week, but you know that you can hike well, you're going to finish it. As long as you just stick with it and don't stop. So, but to answer your question, I don't think you ever know that you're ready. Now, if you've never done a marathon or anything and you're like getting a little bit too ahead of yourself and you're looking at signing up for a 100 miler, I would say definitely run a 50 before 100. But it's up to you. I know people that their first ultra was actually, there's people that did some of those 200s that I was at a couple years ago that had never done 100 milers and they were fine. So I think you just need to want it enough to be able to put in the right amount of work for you. It doesn't have to be a perfect training plan. It just needs to be right for you, and then go there and just persevere. Will says, good job getting out there in the heat this week. Did a run 100 plus heat index earlier this week. Looking forward to cooler weather. Yeah. This has just been like, I love it. Like in a weird way. I love it. But at the same time, it's just brutal out there. But I know that I'm getting really good training in. And I know that as soon as this cool weather comes around, I'm going to feel like Superman out there. Today, like I did 11 miles and it was like over 90 degrees and the app said feels like 100. And I was planning on going on a route that was going to hit 2 drinking fountains. And the first one I went to, I forgot. It's been off all summer. It just slipped my mind. And so I was like, oh, crap. And I was like 4 miles away. And the next one was going to be at 8.5 miles. And so I did the first 8.5 miles with no water, which was not a huge deal. I mean, I was kind of suffering for the last mile or so. But got to that drinking fountain and, got a drink. But probably should have taken a bottle tonight. I didn't know I was going to go that far. I was thinking about 10, but it was a little bit over 11. So yeah, but I mean, when we get this fall weather coming around and it's nice and cool and the humidity's gone, I mean, you'll be able to, if we can pull off, you'll be able to double your mileage. Like maybe not double, but you'll be able to go out there and, I mean, if you're running 5 milers now, you'll be able to do 10, like no problem in a couple weeks. All right. Justin says, Vol State, one of the guys finished with his longest run being 14 miles. Yeah. I mean, some people, like, that's just, I mean, they're just wired to persevere. And it just doesn't matter what the experience they've had. Fernando says, Ryan, are you still trying to run under 24 hours on your next 100 miler? Yes, definitely. That's the goal. And I mean, we'll see. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do better than that. I don't know if I should have a goal better than that. I think that's a pretty solid goal. I also wouldn't be surprised if I can stay injury free and I can keep up these 70, 80 mile weeks. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I can go a little quicker than that. But we'll see, especially if I have a good crew. So I've already got a couple people that have said they want to, and so I'm very excited because it would be a very solid crew if they came. But we'll just see if it pans out. I'm very excited about the format of this race too. 25-mile loops is like perfect. It's long enough that you don't have to. I mean, 4 loops is that's a really good. If you have to do a looped course, 4 loops is great because you can just knock off those chunks at a time. 25 miles, 25 miles, 25 miles, 25 miles. I mean, once you get 2 loops in, you're halfway. Like, it's just your mind can really process that easily, which is great during an ultra. I did one a couple years ago that was 6 laps, and so each loop was 16.7 miles, and I was just like, that hurt your brain, like thinking about it. Like when you're on, like we literally were like, are we on lap 4 or 5? We don't know. Like, it was so bad. But it was a fun race too. That was called the Hallucination 100, and I actually didn't have any hallucinations during it, but plenty of opportunity too. Stephen Barber says, going from no prior race experience to a 50K this October, Pilot Mountain to Hanging Rock Ultra, grabbing lots of insight from your channel. Thank you. Oh, that's awesome, man. Good luck in your 50K this October. Aaron says 50 miles per week for a 50 miler, up to 100 miles per week for a 100 miler. What volume do you peak at for this training block? Well, I wouldn't, so I don't think it doesn't go, it's not like linear like that. 100 miles per week is like massively difficult, and not many people can do that. You have to have the right type of like family job situation, first of all, to do that. And very few people actually have that. And then you also have to be, I would say that you kind of have to be a little gifted as far as your athletic ability and your recovery ability to pull off 100-mile weeks. So I think a lot of people can get up to 50 a week. And if you're running 50 miles a week, training for a 50 miler, like that's amazing. Like you're going to do great. If you're running, and then but also you could run 50 miles a week and do really well at a 100 miler. So it's not really like, I wouldn't say it's linear like that. But as far as for me, where I'm going to peak somewhere, I would love to do a 100-mile week, here in a couple weeks. I'm trying to figure out which week pans out the best to do something like that. Maybe take a couple vacation days, like a Thursday, Friday or something, so that I can get a couple back-to-back long runs in. But I would think that I'm going to hopefully be able to hold pretty steady on these 70-mile weeks for a couple weeks, and then maybe get a couple 80s, and then maybe 100. But what's more important than just hitting a weekly number is the actual runs I'm doing to prepare for this race, and back-to-back long runs is going to be really important, because when you're running over the course of 100 milers, 24 to 30, 36, 48 hours, you need something that's beneficial is to train back-to-back long runs so you can get your body used to doing a lot of miles on one day and then a lot of miles on the next day. And then even though that's not exactly what you're going to do doing a 100 miler, it's going to really help. So more importantly than hitting maybe a 100-mile week or something like that would be making sure that I can get a couple weeks in where there's definitely 2 days in a row where I do back-to-back 20 or 25 milers. And then hopefully as well, as long as I stay healthy, get a 50 miler in about 4 weeks out. That's the goal. And I might do it solo again. There's a race in Illinois, that's in September. I forget which weekend in September it's in. But it's called the Painful Elimination. And that is also a really good training for a 100-miler because it's a last man standing race. So I might jump into that. It's only a 2-hour drive from my house, so it wouldn't be that bad. And I can just sleep in my Jeep the night before. But it's a 4.16 mile loop or something. And you start on the hour every hour. And so it really it encourages you to kind of take your time. You don't have to run, you don't want to run too quick, because if you run, the course isn't terribly hard. It's trails, but you could pretty easily do your first couple laps in 40 minutes, run sub 10-minute miles. That's not out of this world. But then you got to come back and you got to sit for 20 minutes. You don't want to do that. So it kind of encourages you to run at more of a 100-miler pace and just take your time, come in with, 8 minutes maybe to spare, 10 minutes maybe, fill up your bottle, get some drink, get something to eat, and then get right back out there and keep going. You don't want your muscles to really cool down too much. So it's a really great format for training for hundreds, and so I might jump into that. I did it a couple years ago, and I did 32 miles or something. I forget how many laps that was, but it does take a while too, because you can't just go out there and do your normal pace for 20 or 25 miles. You're going to have to stick to that 4.16 miles per hour. So it's kind of a long day, but it's definitely worth it. Let's see. Hey Ryan, training for my first 100 miler for the third time. Oh no. Injury and COVID caused me to miss. Had a great base fitness level on Training Peaks, was at 106. Nice. At the time of suffering a hip injury. Dang. 3 months ago, 8 weeks out until a race. Have you been through something like this before? If so, what did you do? If not, suggestions. Yeah, I've been through something very similar to that. 2019, I was planning on doing the Midwest Super Slam, which is 500 milers over the course of like 4 months. And first one totally bombed it. Finished the 100K, but it was the 100 miler DNF because my nutrition was so screwed up and I was overly tired. Like I looking back on it, I trained into it too much. I didn't really taper. I also wasn't ready because I was like just kind of like weirdly thinking that I would be able to, kind of peak at the second or third race. And so the first one was going to be more of a training race. And it was the dumbest way to approach it. But anyway, that one bombed. And the second one, I took a bad fall at 82 miles and messed up my ankle really bad and had spent 6 weeks in physical therapy before insurance would approve me getting an MRI, and then got an MRI and found out that I had torn cartilage in my ankle. So that's why it hurt so bad. It wasn't a sprain. It was worse. It might have been sprained too, but there's no way of knowing it because I had to wait 6 weeks to get any actual doctor to look at it. A doctor looked at it, but that's all they could do because of my insurance. It's weird here. If you live in the U.S., you know what I'm talking about. So after that, I took 3 months. It was 3 months of no running. And 2 weeks before a race that I already paid for, the Hallucination 100, was like the time that I went into my doctor and he gave me the go-ahead that, okay, you're allowed to run again. And it was 2 weeks before this 100 miler. And so I asked him, I was like, what do you think about me just going out and giving this race a shot? Do you think I could injure myself more? And after he laughed for a while about that, he was like, no, I mean, you're healed. Go give it a shot. And so I went out and finished it. But it was a sufferfest, lots of walking, lots of, trying to fast hike. So I don't know, if you're going to be actually recovered before then, but you can do a lot of things that you just set your mind to. You don't have to be perfectly trained. You don't have to have a really good training block. As long as you are mentally ready to finish this race, or at least just go into it and give it your best shot and see what happens. Maybe you'll surprise yourself, but I mean, I would say definitely listen to your doctors, and take their advice. But if they give you the green light, why not try? Worked out for me. It sounds like you're doing okay right now. It says ran a 40K training run on the course this weekend. Felt great. Nice. Yeah, go for it, man. Will W says, took the new Amphipod 16-ounce bottle on my run this morning. Thanks for the tip. Awesome. Bought on Amazon 3-year affiliate. Nice. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I love that bottle. I've been taking it out on all my long runs. It's great. I'm wondering if I don't know. There's another color, a white one, and I'm wondering if that one might keep the liquid cooler longer. The neon yellow one is awesome. I love the way it looks. But in this heat, I've noticed that after about an hour, the liquid inside's boiling. Probably like that with any bottles though in this weather. Dallin Rick says Hoka Bondi X or Ultra Torn 5 for average to aspiring endurance runner currently using New Balance Fresh Foam 1080s. Ooh. Shoe questions. One of my favorites. Okay, so those are the Hoka Bondi X and the Torn 5. If you've never run in them, they're really different shoes. The Torn 5, I would say, and they're also like different in every way possible. The Torn 5 is zero drop. It's ultra, wide toe box. The Hoka Bondi X is more narrow, but it's a little bit wider for Hoka's standards, I would say. But then it's got 5mm drop and massive amount of foam underneath. And it's also got a carbon plate. So I've been running a lot in the Bondi X. I think I've got like 120 miles in it already. I've only had it for like 2 weeks. But I really like that shoe a lot. And I mean, the review, I'm going to be filming it here in the next day or two, probably. And it's a shoe that I would say, like, I haven't totally formed all my thoughts yet, but just off the top of my head, it's not the shoe that you want to wear every day. And I definitely saw some negative effects of wearing a carbon plate every single day. But it's definitely a shoe that if you're interested in it, I think you should check it out and have in your rotation, because it's different physically and mentally. Like, the cushion is there, but the carbon plate is there, so there's a little bit of a snap. So you can go farther, you can go quicker. Like, that's undeniable. The shoe is assisting you with your running, but you don't want it to be your everyday shoe. And so, yeah, I mean, the Ultra, like, if you haven't ever tried Ultras, like, the Torn 5 is a good one to try. But it's hard to go. You kind of got to go all in with Ultra, because of the zero drop, and you gotta like kind of work yourself into it. You can jump back and forth, but it's kind of difficult. It would be easier with a Hoka though, because with the Hoka, most of them are about 5mm drops. New Balance, I think it's about the same. But yeah, I would say with shoes, I mean, if you're interested in shoes, try them. Like, that's one of the things that I've, been learning since I've been testing all these shoes. I've got like 5 boxes here. Is that try everything. Like, just try it. Like, go to a running store, try it. Go to Running Warehouse, order it. I mean, the return policies nowadays are insane. Like, you can literally run in shoes. And I'm not promoting wastefulness. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think you should do this with all your shoes. But if you've never tried a shoe and you just want to try it, like, just go for it. Like, it's the opportunities you have to try shoes right now is amazing. And you're probably going to like everything you run in. I mean, the only shoes that, like, I've never returned a pair of shoes, I don't think. But there are only 2 shoes that have, like, hurt my feet, that I haven't put any more miles in after the first run. But even those, I mean, it's like, I'm not frustrated that it happened. So I say try shoes. Yeah, Justin says 100-mile weeks. If you don't have a fast pace, that can take forever. Yep, that can take like 20 hours or more if you're not quick. Chris Williams says, what got you to change from triathlon to ultra running? I would say the number one thing that got me into ultra running was Ethan's YouTube channel, The Ginger Runner. And like, I was into ultra running like while I was doing triathlon for maybe the last 2 years. of triathlon, I would do triathlon like all spring and summer. And then I would use that training to do like 50 milers in the fall. And I did that for like 2 years. And then after a couple years, I was just like, man, I really love running on trails. And the triathlon training was starting to get to me, especially the cycling training, because after we started having kids, I was like, I'm just like, it was a personal decision, but I was like, I'm not okay with being out on my bike on the roads that much right now. Cause I had a bad crash and really hurt my neck and my arm. Not anything permanent, but it was like maybe like 6 weeks. I had very limited mobility with my neck and my shoulder. And that was kind of the sign. That was like, that was like 2 weeks before we had our first kid. That was like the sign. It was like, okay, just need to take a pause on this. I might revisit it in the future. But then for like the next year, like I didn't stop triathlon then. For the next full year, I did very few outdoor training rides. Everything else was on the indoor trainer. And I was fine with that. Like that was cool. But throughout that time, it just like slowly started to lose interest in the cycling, because the cycling was the thing that just like you had to go, I mean, to train for Ironman, like you have to put in like 6-hour rides, like all the time. And I know with ultra running, you kind of do that too, but, not as many, like 6-hour, 8-hour days. But yeah, I just kind of drifted more towards trails and ultra running. And, but yeah, I'll always give credit to Ethan and also Jamil. I mean, his channel too, Run Steep, Get High, was just huge. Like, I mean, YouTube really brought me into the sport, and it's kind of fun now to be a part of that as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Aaron says, my plan has 3 weeks in the 70s. We're talking about miles here. A cutback week, peak at 80 and then taper. Nice. That's pretty solid, man. Highest volume before this block hit, 69. So far, so good. Looking forward to see you at the race. Good luck with training. Nice. You too. Sounds like you're doing awesome, man. 70-mile weeks are not easy. And then definitely not your 80 week that you have coming up. That's tough. Kelsey Tyler says, I'm from Indiana too. The heat right now is no joke. I'm a college runner now, but I'm excited to graduate and hit the trails. Do you take days off and do strength training? And then also, what are your ultimate trail running goals, like Leadville or Western States? Thanks. That's awesome, Kelsey. That's really cool. You're in college. That's awesome. And it sounds like you're an actual college runner. Like, dang, that's solid. Do I take days off? Yes. Definitely. I mean, during like the off season, what I would consider like maybe the 2 or 3 months where I'm not actively training for a race, I take days off whenever I feel like it. I think it's really important to, during your off season, just, be good to yourself, be good to your body, reconnect with the people around you, because ultra running takes a lot of time. Then, yeah, but when I get back into like actual training, I pretty much don't take days off from running. Pretty much an everyday runner. When I get into my like maybe 16 to 18 weeks out from a race. Strength training, definitely don't do it as much as I should, but I do like body weight exercises like once a week. But yeah, and then as far as ultimate trail running goals, yes, Western States, Hard Rock would be the number one, ultimate goal. Also like Barkley, been, applying for that for a few years. Western States, few years, Hard Rock, few years. Leadville is one of those where it's a lot easier to get in than any of the other big ones, especially because they let in like 700 or 800 runners every year. But it's not as hard of a lottery as a lot of the others. Like Hard Rock is just like probably impossible at this point in Western states. After this year, I will have applied. This will be my technically fourth year applying, because there was no application last year. So I'll probably get in within the next, if the averages play out, I should get into Western states like within the next 4 to 5 years. So yeah, but yeah, definitely those are goals. I'm also kind of glad that I didn't get into any of these big races like in my first year or two. That's why I always tell like new people that are getting into the sport. I mean, everybody wants to run Western states. Everybody wants to, like, they want to do a qualifier, and then after 2 or 3 years, a lot of people get frustrated, and it's just like, you're not ready to run Western states after 1 or 2 qualifying years of running hundreds, like most of the time. Like if you were like maybe, pretty like elite runner, sure, maybe go ahead. But most of us, it would be wise to put in 4, 5, 6 years of running hundreds and learning how to train for hundreds, learning what it's like to run in the heat. It would be wise to do that. So for myself, I'm very happy that I have not made it into Western states or Hard Rock yet, because I've been able to run some of these other really cool races. I mean, like just recently doing Cruel Jewel, like that was a major, major accomplishment for me, because now I truly believe that like I can look at like any race out there and say, I do think I can finish that. There's maybe not Barkley, but I can look at races and go like, okay, like I know my body, I know myself. As long as I put in the work that I know I've already done in the past, like I have experience putting in that work. I have experience doing a race that's 33,000 feet of elevation gain. I'm pretty confident that I can go in and I can grind it out, and I think that's so valuable to all of us runners. So like just put in your time, and I mean, when it happens, it happens. If you get in on your first year, good luck, like, and congrats to you. But I think it's worth it to do 4, 5, 6 years of running hundreds. Like I've learned so much in the last 5 years of running hundreds. I've learned so much, and I'll be able to take all of that knowledge to these big races when I do finally get in. Great question. Aaron Perry says, what's your opinion on running shoes? I have tons of opinions. Laura Bellman says, I tried Hoka. The outsole on the heel was worn smooth after 12 miles on pavement. What? I would check those for a defective unit. What's up? Motivation Theory, running. Hey. Justin says, thanks for sharing your pre-run warm-up on your video earlier. Yeah, I know people have been asking that for forever. And it's just one of those, I never think to do it when I'm actually doing it. And so this one, I actually did it. And I was like, I need to film this. But I think it'd be cool to do a video where I actually do talk about all the things. But it's so funny because, like, I was actually, like on Saturday, I was thinking about, maybe I'll do it on Saturday. And then I think like on Friday or Saturday, like Kafuzi released his video of like his morning, like his routine. I was like, oh gosh, like I can't just like do that now. Blurbing Iffy says, do you have an off season running where you sometimes do less running and maybe more strength body weight exercises, or is a treadmill by negated that? No, I do have an off season, 100%. I think it's, yep, here it is again. So if we go back to this, so this is my performance management chart, and these are my off seasons here. Like this is like after No Business 100 last year in October, I took quite a bit of downtime where I was still running. Like all these red dots and these blue dots, these are my intensity and training stress score for each of my runs. So I'm still running, but it's short, quick runs, 3 milers, 5 milers, 7 or 8 on a Saturday, like nothing intense, just, staying healthy and just like having fun. And then I start to build back up to Cruel Jewel. So like this would be like the start of my season here, like be, middle of December or so. But yeah, there's definitely from mid-October to mid-December, I would consider that an off season where I just took some downtime. And then also here I did Cruel Jewel. That was right here in May. And then I took from middle of May to middle of June, fairly just, not much going on. So that was 1 month. So that was kind of like an off season, more like just a break in between races, really, though. And then start the training for IT 100. So, yeah, I think it's really important to do, though. Oh, awesome. After 4 months of your own foot injury, you're finally cleared to run again. Nice. That's really great. Chris Williams says, that white watch looks really clean. Yeah, this is the Wahoo Element Rival. Speaking of races and everything, I forgot to do the buckle cam. So you guys have been asking for this. This has been one of the most highly requested things in my live streams. It's the buckle cam. So I finally got it set up. There's a permanent camera there now. So this is going to be available on all my live streams. So thank you guys for asking for it so much. But we're just checking them out, making sure they're okay. They're all there. They are just chilling. So that's the buckle cam, everybody. It's back and it's permanently in place. There's a camera installed right there. All right. Replay SRE says cross country starts next week for me. Nice. Awesome. That's really cool, man. Christopher Brandy says first 50 miler next month, 9,000 feet of elevation. Should I walk every hill? So there's a 50 miler I've done 3 times that has 9,000 feet of elevation. And the first probably 2 times, I think I did walk every hill. But you don't have to. It depends on how steep it is. And it depends on where you're putting your effort level. And if your effort level is getting to a place where it's causing more harm than good in the overall picture of your day, then I would definitely walk them. But if you've trained hills and you know that you can keep your effort level in a certain spot, or you know that you're going to really recover on the downhills, like the course really well, then it just depends. I mean, there's definitely science out there, like at least one research paper that I've read where they researched people, like their actual effort levels of running uphill versus hiking uphill. And it was very surprising. Like over the course of, I think it was like 6 weeks or something of training to run uphill. Oh, what's up, Justin? Super chat. Nice. $10. Long live the buckle cam. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thanks, Justin. And Chris Williams says buckles for days. Dave says woohoo buckle cam. Dallin says love a buckle cam. Blurbing Effie, excellent buckle cam. Oh my gosh, you guys love this. Yes. Long live the buckle cam. Nice. But yeah, back to Christopher. What you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it just depends. Like, I would say if this is your first 50 miler, first experience at that distance, then yeah, just walk them. I mean, you don't have anything to lose. But if you're pretty experienced trail runner, and you've done a couple 50s, and this is maybe just your first one with 9,000 feet of elevation, maybe some of the less steep ones. Maybe you can jog up them and save a ton of time. Douglas says, I know there are massive time sucks, but any desire to take on an FKT, maybe not as big as the one Jurek is attempting. Yeah, speaking of Jurek, actually, man, I shouldn't have said anything. Got a very interesting email yesterday. That's all I'm going to say about that. But FKT, yeah, I shouldn't even say anything. FKTs, so there is like one or two trails here in Indiana that I would love to attempt an FKT at. There's one 50 miler called the Knobstone, that me and my friend Matt Cantrell, we've been talking like for years about going out and doing this. It'd be awesome to go out there. The FKT, there's no like official FKT, but there's an unofficial FKT, and it's pretty steep. Like it's like one of those word of mouth FKTs, but it's actually on the website. But it would be pretty tough to go break that. And there's a couple others like the Tecumseh Trail. The FKT there was just broke like in April or May or something. And that's also like, that would be super steep. Like I'm probably not that fast enough to go out and break that one, but that would be fun to attempt it. I think that one's like 28 miles or something. But yeah, that would be, I would love to, but right now I'm just like 100% laser focused on my next 100 miler. But maybe in the fall, maybe right after it, maybe a month after. So like, I don't know, maybe November, December time, maybe look at some sort of FKT attempt. All right. Aaron Perry says, sorry, phrased my question poorly. What's your opinion on the Swedish company On? Oh, and their shoes. Nice. I don't know. I've never tried them. I've never had the opportunity to try a pair of On shoes. I've watched a few YouTube videos. Oh, did you guys see that light just fall? Oh my gosh. That's falling apart. Yeah. Well, no more light. I mean, I guess there's kind of like a side light on the Speed Goats over there. But yeah, I need to get some better tape, apparently. But yeah, On shoes. I've never tried them. I've watched a couple YouTube videos of people wearing them. They look interesting. They also look like they're like insane rock traps. Like it looks like you're just going to be picking rocks out of your shoes for days. But I don't know. I know people like them, but I've never had the opportunity to try them out. Justin says, what email did you receive? FKT video. Yeah. Probably nothing will pan out, but there's something that could, and who knows how exciting it might be or not, but, yeah, a connection was made, which is really cool. Alex says, hey Ryan, I'm running my first road marathon in September, San Francisco Marathon. The thing is, it has 1,700 feet of elevation, but I live in Miami with 0 elevation, but it's hot. Any tips for pacing strategy? I don't know. Like Miami, I've heard that if you live down there, you run the overpasses, or you get a treadmill. Yeah, I mean, with the heat, you're going to, that's not going to help you much for running hills. I mean, it will, like, if you can train in the heat and humidity, and then go straight to your race. And if it's much cooler, that'll benefit you greatly. But a marathon, 1,700 feet. So that's, for a road race, that's quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, I would try and get access to a treadmill if you could, and just practice running at like maybe like 6%, 5 or 6%. That'll probably be the max gain the max elevation percent that you would see at a race like that for a road race, and just cycle it from like 2 to 6%, like over and over. Or if you can find some overpasses, go check those out. All right, one or two more questions. Then we're going to get out of here. Couch at 100 miler. What's a realistic time frame in your mind for that, for average genetics? I would say maybe, like, if you want to be smart about it, maybe a year and a half to 2 years. Maybe 2 years. If you don't have any running experience, I think you probably need to train for a 50 miler first. And go out and do that, and you will learn a million things during that that's going to help you for your 100 miler. But 100 milers are an incredible beast. Like, there is so much that you have to bring to the table to finish a 100 miler that I think minimum maybe like 2 years of running before you could really, like, people could pull. I mean, anyone can do anything. I will say that. But if I was coaching someone, that's the advice I would give them. But yeah, I've seen and heard of crazier things. So there you go. All right, guys. Thanks for joining, though. I'm going to wrap this up. Alex says, huge thanks. I will get on that incline treadmill. LOL. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, like, yeah, find a good Netflix show or something. And then just get on the incline. I mean, I did like 4 months of that training for a Cruel Jewel, and it works. I mean, no one likes doing it. I actually didn't mind it that much. I mean, it kind of was okay. Like, just, like, I was home. So like, if kids needed something or something, like, I was around, like, I wasn't gone, and it wasn't too bad. Like, I didn't have to run in the cold winter in Indiana. That's awful. So it was actually a good situation getting that treadmill. But yeah, thanks everybody. So kind. Everybody's so kind tonight. But yeah, I'll see you again soon. Hope you have a great week, and look forward to chatting with you guys again next time. Oh, new subscriber. Let's close it out on that. Michael, thanks for subscribing. You may or may not be watching right now. Maybe not, because that's just like anybody that's subscribing. We're getting close to 12,000. Close to 12,000. So that'll be a cool little milestone, I guess. I try not to pay attention to that stuff. But yeah. All right. That's it, guys. Have a great night. I'll see you again soon.